Hello, fellow audio nerds. I'm Steph, and this is Major Hi-Fi. This week I got a chance to spend some quality time with the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless, and yeah, they're priced a little bit higher than the other True Wireless earphones that I've tried before. So I was really curious, are they worth the money? Well, today I'll try and answer that question with this review. Let's go back in time. I'll share with you my first impressions, and then I will meet you right back here for my overall thoughts. All right, here we go. Hey everybody, welcome to my place. So today I've got with me the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless earphones, so let's see what's inside the box here. Alright, so as you will see here, there's a number of different things. First, we've got some documentation. This is like a user guide and all that kind of stuff. We've got a few different sizes of ear tips. Comes with extra small, small, medium, and large tips. We've got a USB-C charging cable right here for charging up the case, which then in turn charge the earphones. And then of course here's the case. I really like the look of this. Definitely one of the best looking charging cases that I've seen so far. I like that it's sort of coated in this like cloth. Just kind of looks classy. USB-C charging port on the back of that, and then of course the earphones. Now, as for the design of these, I think that these earphones are some of the best looking that I have seen. You'll sort of see that the earphones kind of have this matte black finish, a really kind of sleek shape to them, and then that contrasts really nicely with this sort of shiny aluminum sort of design with the Sennheiser logo on there. They seem to be a really nice size as well. They're not too big. They're not super small, but they kind of have this like medium size to them. Curious to see how they fit here. Actually, they fit really well. They kind of just feel secure. They're actually pretty lightweight, and I think that helps keep them in the ears. But I have pretty small ears, and I find that sometimes it's difficult for larger earphones to fit well, but these do a really good job. You'll notice they sort of have this like blunted nozzle shape, and I think that maybe that's why it's in favor. It's not super long, but something that I found while wearing this is that, it sort of sits in the ear without touching any other parts of the ear other than like where the ear tip is touching the ear canal. I think that's kind of a nice design, which makes them pretty comfortable. Now, with the earphones and the charging case together, you get a battery life of up to about 12 hours. That's actually pretty good for true wireless earphones. Not the best I've seen, but definitely not the worst, and a solid battery life at that. Now, with this USB case, sort of the way that it works is you charge it through this little port in the back, and you also notice that there's a little button here. Now, this button will check the battery status of both the case itself and the earphones. If you want to check the battery life on the case, you can press that button while it's charging, or basically you can press that button like while the earphones are not in the case, and find the battery life of the case. And likewise, if you put the earphones in the case, then you'll get the battery life of the earphones. Now, one other kind of cool aspect of these earphones is that you can use the Sennheiser Smart Control app to kind of change some of the parameters of these earphones. You can do transparent hearing so that you can sort of like hear things further away. There's actually a setting where you can have these in your ears and it will stop playing music if you take one of them out, because it notices that you're probably trying to have a conversation or you're trying to be aware of your surroundings. So it'll pause the music for you. This is all controllable via the app. So with these earphones, they will connect via Bluetooth 5.0, but they also have the capability to support aptX and aptX low latency for those of you wanting to watch movies. So I do want to kind of test these out and see how easily they connect to the phone. This is sort of like the ultimate test, because yeah, sometimes true wireless can be a little bit finicky. So let's see, I'm taking this camera off of here now. So I'm opening up my Bluetooth settings, turning it on. One kind of trick with these true wireless in particular is that if you put the earphones back in the case, close it up, press the button that's on the back of it, it sort of puts them back into like their kind of default mode. So what I'm going to do now is open them up, take them out. and press the backs of these ear tips at the same exact time. This should put the earphones into pairing mode. I'm going to put them in my ears to see what I can hear. Yep, pairing mode. Pairing mode, I now see the Momentum True Wireless in my phone, so I'm tapping that now. Pairing successful, connected. Great, so that was actually pretty easy. I am kind of curious, just really quickly before I even get into the listening test, one common issue with true wireless earphones is that they actually have problems sometimes with lag, with latency, when you're watching video. Now, if you're using a device that supports aptX LL, aptX low latency, this really shouldn't be a problem, but what about over Bluetooth 5.0? Let's see here. Just pulling up a YouTube video. Wow, let's be totally narcissistic and pull up a major hi-fi video. Let's see. Actually, it looks pretty good. Perhaps there's a little bit of tiny bit of lag. I'm kind of like looking at my voice and hearing the words from a previous video, and it actually is pretty good. Definitely better than some other models that I've seen. I definitely recommend trying this out for yourself to see how it works with your particular device. I have an iPhone 7. Anywho, let's get into it. Very excited to take a listen to these. All right, a quick note before I talk about the sound. So just about the touch controls, they feel very reactive, no lags. Using the touch controls on here, you can play pause, you can turn the volume up and down, skip tracks, that sort of thing. Seem to work very well with these. Now, as for the sound, I was just listening right now to the song Fever by Ray Charles featuring Natalie Cole. In this song, the low frequencies definitely had a bit of an emphasis. Both the upright bass and the kick drum came through louder in the mix than normal. Just kind of felt like kind of bigger, took up more space. The lows did seem to go pretty deep. Definitely going to keep listening for more specifics on that because it's a little bit hard to tell because the lows just kind of feel like big in general. Sometimes I think the brain can sort of trick you into thinking that there's more extension than there actually is, but I did feel a nice sense of detail there, and definitely felt like the bass was sort of extended. Those two instruments sounded really nice and big and warm. I really like the mid-range on these, actually. I was just listening to the song Roll with the Punches by Dawes. The bass guitar and the electric guitar both felt thick and full, a little bit elevated in the mix for the bass guitar. And I really liked, too, that there was this really nice sense of warmth down there that kind of just has an aesthetically pleasing feeling to it. Now, the electric guitar did come through in a thick sort of way with that little bit of maybe low mid boost, and this created actually a nice sense of separation between that guitar and the acoustic guitar. Now, as for the vocal, it definitely felt like there was a sense of thickness to it. Like I could hear a lot of the chest of Taylor Goldsmith's voice. But that said, there was still a lot of detail in terms of articulation and that sort of thing. All right, I was just listening to the song Stuff by Miles Davis. And actually, the high end is pretty interesting on these. There was definitely like a sense of emphasis to it, but for example, like in the hi-hat here, the hi-hat sounded very present, had a lot of like detail. So did the snare rolls, like the individual attacks of of the pieces of that roll, bringing forward a bit of texture. However, the hi-hat still sounded really chunky and thick. I would say that the highs are less so emphasizing toward like airiness and more so sort of like thickness in the high frequencies. So definitely kind of interesting. that, I was just listening to the song Slow Burn by Casey Musgraves. Now, as for the soundstage, there really was a nice contrast between the panned out acoustic guitar, the banjo, sort of the big, spacey, reverby synth kind of stuff, and the bass guitar and the vocal in the center there. I will say that kind of like I actually experienced this with other true wireless earphones, but the sense of phantom center kind of tends to shift around depending on how these are sitting in the ears in a different way than wired earphones and headphones for me as an individual, and maybe for you as well. So it kind of requires a little bit of fidgeting to get that phantom center just right, but once the earphones are kind of sitting right, the phantom center comes through really well. There is also, because of, have sort of mentioned this high frequency boost and this low frequency boost, I think the sense of height is really good. There's a lot of nice contrast there, and in this song you hear that a lot with the vocals contrasting really nicely with kind of the bass guitar, the kick drum, even, you hear like a lot of the mid-rangey stuff sort of sitting right in the middle too, and I think it's well done. As for the sense of depth, the mid-range definitely lets through here in this song. A lot of nice reverb and room sounds. You can really hear the tail of the reverb of her voice. You can hear it a lot with the synths and everything too, and it contrasts well with sort of the intimacy of those parts of her vocal as well as the kind of more intimate sounding acoustic guitar. This contrasts well with the banjo, which feels a little bit further back in space. Anywho, I'm very excited to keep listening to these over the next week, and I will keep you updated. I'll meet you back at the Major Hi-Fi office for my overall thoughts. All right, here we go. Overall, the Momentum True Wireless have a bit of a boost in the sub-region of the low-frequency spectrum, but in a general sense, the lows seem to be elevated a little bit. As a result, it sort of contributes to just like extra groove and energy and thickness down in the low end, but it works actually pretty well for a wide variety of genres. I will say, if you need something that's super accurate down there, these might not be the ones for you, but if you like a little bit of an extra bump there, and you think that genre-wise it works, I think that these will make you happy. As for the mid-range of these earphones, they really have a nice sense of warmth, and I hear that warmth especially in the low mids, as you might expect, I guess. There is a bit of a boost in the low mids, sort of creating extra thickness, contributing to that warmth. And there's also a bit of a boost in the highest part of the high mids. Now, as a result, you'll notice that this kind of creates a little bit of a cut across the middle part of the mid-range in a broad, sort of light way. Now, to me, I don't really hear that as like a cut. In fact, tonally, it feels really nice and full. But it does just kind of create a nice sense of spaciousness. As for the high frequencies of the earphones, there's a bit of a boost in the lower treble and another bit of a boost in the higher part of the upper treble. Now, there are some sort of like dips and cuts in between those boosts, and as a result, the high frequencies feel like they have a good sense of articulation. They even have a sense of texture. But what I will say is that they're not perfectly even. So if you need if the music that you're listening to requires sort of like an evenness and a neutrality in the high end, these won't be the ones for you. But if you kind of can deal with that sort of like a little bit of character in the high frequencies, I think you might really like these. There is, the high frequencies do sort of edge more toward like chunkiness and articulation than airiness, I would say. As for the soundstage of the earphones, I think they actually do quite a good job, especially for being, Bluetooth in-ears, of creating a nice sense of contrast across all three dimensions. As for the sense of depth, you really do get a nice kind of image of reverbs and room mics, which help contributes to that sense of depth. Although sort of the creation of depth from the earphones themselves isn't super strong. I will admit that there is a nice contrast between the things that are panned out wide and the center. Just make sure that the earphones are placed properly in the ears, because otherwise it sort of throws off that part of the soundstage. And then in terms of the sense of height, you really do get a nice contrast between those high frequencies instruments up top, and then the lower instruments kind of like anchored toward the bottom. there's a nice sense of nuance there. You really kind of get things across the middle part in the mid-range. So I think it's quite effective. Overall, the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless did a really good job of staying in the ears. They connected to my phone super easily. I didn't get any latency with them. If I did, it was a very small amount. And especially if you have a phone or a device that supports aptX, low latency, you'll have really good luck with that. They sound good, they feel good. You know, if I had to answer the question of whether or not these earphones are worth the money, I would say if you're looking for an earphone that has the same kind of sound profile I've described, then these are well worth the money. They worked very well. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like another perspective on the Momentum True Wireless, check out the description box. I've left a link there to my colleague's review. If you thought this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And for more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. All right, I will see you next time. Bye.